Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into something fascinating. It impacts everything from interest rates to business decisions. I'm talking about the accuracy and, well, the reliability of government economic data.
Right. And a huge part of that is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS. It's, a key government agency. They're responsible for putting out crucial economic information, the kind policymakers and businesses rely on for some really big decisions.
So today, yeah, we're doing a deep dive focusing on one particular source. It's a White House article from August 1st, 2025. The title is pretty direct. BLS has lengthy history of inaccuracies, incompetence. Now, this piece, it makes some pretty striking claims about the BLS. Our mission today is basically to distill the most important nuggets from this specific source for you, so you can weigh these claims yourself.
Yeah, that's really important to stress. We're focusing only on what's presented in this article. We're here to help you understand the claims it makes. We're not, endorsing them or arguing against them, just trying to impartially convey the ideas that are in there.
All right, let's jump right in then. The first major claim in this White House article, honestly, it really caught my eye. It suggests that under the former commissioner, Erika McEntarfer, the BLS, and I'm quoting here, consistently published overly optimistic jobs numbers only for those numbers to be quietly revised later. That's quite a foundational claim, isn't it?
It is. And what's interesting is how the article then claims this alleged pattern has completely eroded public trust in the agency.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about how important these numbers are supposed to be, a claim like that really hits at a core concern about reliability.
Okay, so let's get specific. These revisions. What examples does the article really zero in on?
Well, it mentions a couple right off the bat. From August 1st, 2025. Apparently, the BLS had revised down the jobs reports for both May and June
Okay.
by a combined 258,000 jobs.
Wow, combined.
Yeah, combined. But the article suggests what's maybe even more significant or concerning, depending on your view, is the annual benchmark revision.
Okay, maybe quickly explain benchmark revisions for anyone not super familiar.
Sure. Good point. So a benchmark revision is basically a deeper check. It happens annually. The BLS adjusts its initial payroll estimates using more comprehensive tax data that, well, it just takes longer to get. It's a big deal because it can really change the historical picture of job growth quite dramatically. And the source, this article, states that last year, the BLS reportedly revised down the benchmark payroll growth for the year ending March 2024.
Boy.
A huge 818,000 jobs.
818,000.
Yeah. And to put that in context, the article describes it as the second largest benchmark revision on record.
Yeah.
So it suggests this wasn't just a minor tweak. It was a rare and, well, pretty substantial shift in understanding what happened with jobs.
Just think about that for a second. An 818,000 downward revision. It implies that for a whole year, the picture we had of the economy was, according to this source, significantly more positive than reality. And the article connects this directly to policy. It claims these faulty jobs reports enable the Federal Reserve to continue its disastrous policy of keeping interest rates high. It even brings in the New York Times, citing reports from June and July, saying those initial higher job numbers reinforce the Fed's view, to wait on cutting rates.
Right. And it wasn't just the big annual benchmark. The source also details what it calls a consistent pattern of monthly downward revisions. For example, it points to July 2024. May's jobs number revised down by 54,000, April's down by 57,000.
Okay.
And the article says this wasn't like a one-off thing. It cites similar downward patterns in April 2024 and February 2024
Yeah.
too. We're talking significant monthly adjustments there from, say, 43,000 down up to over 120,000 jobs revised away in a single month report.
So what the article is suggesting here is this recurring theme. Initial estimates coming out, influencing markets, influencing policy. And then, often months later, those numbers get lowered, sometimes by a lot. And just to put a number on the total impact, the source cites the Daily Caller, claiming that if you include all these monthly revisions, the Biden administration, quote, overstated the number of jobs in the U.S. economy by 1.18 million in the year through March. That's reportedly, 36% of the 3.24 million jobs they initially claimed? That seems huge.
It is a huge proportion, absolutely.
Yeah.
When you bundle together these alleged monthly revisions and that massive benchmark revision, what really jumps out from the source's perspective is the sheer scale. We're potentially talking about millions of jobs being initially overstated, according to this article. That really raises questions, doesn't it, about the real-time accuracy, the economic picture we get month to month.
And yeah, these reported revisions, they definitely didn't fly under the radar. The source highlights reactions. It cites Bloomberg from November 15th, 2024. noting that two key Senate Republicans excoriated the U.S. government statistics agency. Strong word, excoriated, saying these big revisions show its continued failures. And that article also mentions the preliminary annual revision, the 800,000 plus one, made waves in financial markets and on Capitol Hill. You bet it did.
And if we try to connect this to the bigger picture, the source brings up another point. A reported discrepancy highlighted by the Heritage Foundation back on May 3, 2024. So according to the source, while the standard monthly estimates showed payrolls increasing by 640,000 in Q3 last year, another BLS report, the Business Employment Dynamics, or BED report.
Okay, the BED report.
Right, which tracks jobs differently, more at the business level. That reportedly showed private payrolls dropping by 192,000 in that same period. The source calls that a mammoth difference of 832,000. Yeah. So that's not just numbers being off by a bit. It raises, fundamental questions, according to this source, about how different data sets within the same agency align, or maybe don't align, and which one is giving us a better real-time feel for the economy.
So what does this all mean for you, listening right now? If you're following the economy, maybe making business plans, or just trying to make sense of the news. These claims about data revisions are pretty critical, right? They suggest that analysis, policy decisions, like the Fed's interest rate moves, they might be based on numbers that get significantly changed later on. It's like aiming at a moving target. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. There is a second major area of concern that this White House article highlights. It's the claim that, quote, during McEntarfer's tenure, BLS was consistently plagued by technical errors and leaks of sensitive information. So this goes beyond just the job numbers themselves.
Exactly. It moves into operational issues, data handling. The source details an incident from the Washington Post, August 28, 2024. Apparently, a technical problem delayed the job's data release. Okay, tech issues happen. But then it says outside parties then got the data because of a lack of communication within the agency. And the source really emphasizes this point. It claims this was at least the third in a series of missteps this year, painting it not as a one-off accident, but maybe a recurring issue.
And we know this data is incredibly sensitive. The Washington Post is cited again, saying it's closely watched by economists, Wall Street traders, and Federal Reserve officials. Makes sense. The source also brings up another incident, job revisions for last year and early 2024 appearing on a government website, about a half hour after their scheduled release time, which reportedly allowed a handful of financial firms to get that info early, even though DLS policies are supposed to prevent anyone getting an edge. I mean, when you hear about alleged errors or leaks like that, how does that potentially mess things up for everyone relying on this data fairly?
Well, it creates serious uncertainty, right? And the potential for an unfair advantage. And beyond just delays, the source details some pretty concerning claims about how the data was managed, citing the House Committee on Education and the Workforce from December 10th, 2024. Think about these alleged incidents described in the source. March 2024. A BLS economist supposedly shared non-public information with several Wall Street firms.
Oh.
Whoa.
Yeah.
May 15, 2024. The BLS apparently accidentally loaded data files to its website 30 minutes prior to the scheduled release time of the Consumer Price Index, CPI. That's a massive market mover.
30 minutes early.
Exactly. And then again, August 21st, 2024. While the public waited for the release of the job numbers, some Wall Street firms got a head start as BLS released the numbers to firms that spoke to the agency by phone.
Okay.
Again, potentially giving them an unfair trading advantage. According to the source, it paints a picture of, well, maybe systemic issues, not just isolated glitches.
And Congress, according to this source, certainly reacted, August 26, 2024. It says, Chairwoman Fox and Chairman Good called out the Biden-Harris administration for exaggerating job growth based on those revised numbers, the 800,000 overestimate. Then, September 25, 2024, Fox and Good reportedly demanded answers to hold BLS accountable for what they called its inability to ensure data is released uniformly and on time. And when BLS apparently didn't respond, the source says the committee re-upped its oversight inquiry on October 25, 2024, as more reports surfaced.
Yeah, this really raises a crucial question, doesn't it, about the implications of these alleged technical errors and potential security breaches. What does it mean for the integrity and, maybe more importantly, the public's trust in this critical economic data? If the information isn't seen as reliable, or if it's not equally accessible to everyone at the same time, how can markets function properly? How can policymakers make sound decisions?
So we've really had a deep dive into the claims presented in this specific White House article regarding the BLS and its data operations. We looked at the two main threads presented. First, The alleged consistent pattern of overly optimistic job numbers followed by downward revisions. And second, the reported issues with technical errors and the security around sensitive information release. It certainly paints a picture, based on this one source, of potential instability in some really vital economic indicators.
So as you've listened to all this, what stands out to you? What strikes you about the challenges involved in just collecting and releasing this kind of data? And how might these specific claims presented in this article shape how you view these vital economic indicators when you see them next? Do they make you think differently about, say, investment decisions, or maybe how confident you feel in the economic outlook presented by the government? Something to mull over.
Definitely something to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep thinking critically about the sources of information you consume, especially when it comes to the numbers that, well, shape our world.